I'm Ali, I'm one of the physios from treatmyachilles.com. We're an online virtual physiotherapy service helping people with Achilles problems. And these can be things like a tendinopathy, or it can be related to Achilles tears or ruptures. This series of videos is talking about partial Achilles tears or partial Achilles ruptures. And this video is focusing on what we might expect the rehab to look like. So what do I mean by rehab? If we look at a rehab like a pyramid, and at the top, this is our goal. This is what we want to get back to. So these activities could be our sports, so things like running, basketball, tennis or racket sports. It could be walking, playing golf, whatever it might be, right at the top here. And then as we come down, right at this bottom section is the beginning part of this rehabilitation. And this beginning part is where our Achilles is quite swollen and we've just had that accident, that incident that might have caused that sudden sharp pain. Now, that has been spoken about in a different video, so if you'd like to look about what symptoms you might expect or what is a partial tear, then that information is on a link below. So we start off by trying to help and give our Achilles a better chance of healing. Now remember, it's not all of the tendon fibres, so our fibres come down in straight lines that make up our Achilles tendon in lots and lots of different bundles. It's not all of those fibres that have been torn in a partial tear or a partial rupture, it's only some of them. So what we need to do is make sure that they are in with a good chance of knitting those ends back together again. And to do that, using a heel raise, something like a wedge that you can put in the back of your shoe, or indeed getting something more formal via a medical opinion, can give you the ability to have your heel higher than your toe. And that heel higher than your toe means we've got those edges going closer together, and it helps with that healing process. Now these wedges, normally a few centimetres to start, and it might depend on the severity of your tear as to how many those wedges might be. And over a period of time, as that tendon knits back together again, those wedges can gradually get lower until they've gone away completely. So our main bit at the bottom is, can we help with the healing? So we can put some wedges in. Can we help with a range of movement of your foot and your ankle, your knee, your hip and your back? So if you're limping or walking differently, you're not going to get aches and pains elsewhere. So it's keeping things moving, keeping things supple. And if you normally do exercises to strengthen your legs, doing any of those again that doesn't involve the foot or the ankle. We're also looking at swelling and what can we do for swelling management. Whether we would use ice packs is a debate, whether you have any medication and when to start that, or whether you would be resting and elevating your foot and doing a combination of all of those things. Once we've got over that acute phase, we're starting to then start some strength exercises. Now this normally comes in at about 3 or 4 weeks, sometimes a little bit longer, maybe even 6 weeks into the program. And those strength exercises start with contractions without really any movement. So these are called isometric contractions. So we can all try this now. If I am to squeeze my bottom muscles as I'm sitting here talking to you, I'm not moving anywhere, I've just clenched my bottom muscles, my glutes, and that is a contraction without movement. So we may start with that for your calves and for any other muscles that might be around that foot or ankle. Some of those muscles may not need a contraction without movement. They may already be strong and we can start doing the next level up. Typically then we move on to exercises with movement. So you're then looking at progressing onto things like calf raises, so raising up and down on your tiptoes. And again, these can be phased in depending on the level. So you may start seated, you may start on 2 feet, on 1 foot, depending on the severity of your injury and on the guidance of the health professional that you see. This then you can see as you are going from seated to 2 feet to 1 foot, you're gradually increasing the amount of weight you're putting through your calf and your tendon. And we're now getting quite significantly down the line of this rehabilitation now. So we're probably at the point where we're on single leg calf raises with no wedges in our feet and being quite confident that our Achilles tendon has knitted back together and is healed. We mentioned in the last video when we were looking at, well, how does healing and repair work with a partial Achilles tear or rupture, and mentioned that sometimes people have had a history of Achilles tendon pains or problems before that. So there may have been a history of a tendonitis or a tendinopathy. There may be some signs of that if you had a scan. So this may mean that this part of the rehabilitation takes actually longer than that healing, so longer than the 12 weeks that we would expect. So we start progressing these calf raises depending on what our goal is now, and they can become quite specific. We might add weight to them. We might put you on different machinery in a gym, if that's the thing you like to do. We might start changing direction. We might start going off a step. And again, it depends on the person in front of us. So you can see there's many, many different options. And that's why I'm not telling you exactly which ones to do in what order. You need to gain professional advice on that. Once we get to those points and we know that you're pretty strong and you're holding a significant percentage of your body weight in addition to just you doing those calf raises, that's when we are looking for a certain amount when we can start jumping, hopping, more bouncy plyometric type exercise. Again, if that's appropriate to your age, to your injury and what you're trying to get back to. And then gradually we phase into more sport specific type movements. So for example, tennis players maybe need to be on their toes and quite bouncy in lots of different directions with sudden lunge movements. Runners may need to be able to run uphill as well as downhill or at speed. People in ball sports like basketball or football, may need to change direction. So we're looking for more specific movements that would relate to that sport, and then we start phasing people back into that. An example of phasing back in might be a jog-walk program, might be playing certain amounts of match and not all of it. It might be joining in with certain drills. So again, you can see there's lots of variables to play with, and it does depend on you as an individual. So if you are in this position where you think you've had a partial Achilles tear or rupture, you may have had an ultrasound scan to confirm that diagnosis, and you're starting with some wedges in your shoes, or indeed you've moved past that and you've started to heal and not sure what to do next because you can't do your activity anymore. My suggestion would be to book an appointment with ourselves or other medical professionals so they can guide you on your specific rehab. I won't be detailing exercises because the exercises I could be giving you here may not be appropriate. Some people need to go slower with the rehab and some people can go faster with the rehab. Some people's pain and swelling may respond differently to different exercises that I give you, and it therefore wouldn't be safe or appropriate to give too more difficult exercises to somebody in an acute stage, that means the early stage of their rehabilitation. The same, it wouldn't be appropriate to give too easier exercise to people at the end of their healing process, the end of their rehabilitation.